And we are live. Hello everybody. How you doing? Wow, we're late by 4 seconds apparently. Well, you know.
Shit.
Bitch, you
couldn't
suck
help
at this,
it.
I swear.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't run if you were running it.
Yeah, I could do this better.
No,
I'll
you
do
couldn't.
my own,
running as a
own
fever.
podcast. I do have my own podcast with Blackjack and Hook.
Yeah, your
Are you
podcast.
sure about
Do you mean? So anyway, with us people is a very special guest. Hello, say hello, Jim.
Hello, Jim.
He is an esteemed guest. I've been trying to get him on for a while now. Admittedly, I've been slacking sometimes, but I've got you on now. How you doing, Jim?
Sometimes he says.
Pretty good. I survived delicious Negro Modelo so far. Knock on wood.
And remember to ask your waitress.
Negro, please.
There you go, guys. So tell the people who you are and what you do.
Oh, geez. So I'm a podcaster. I run a podcast called The Lulberts, which you can find more at thelulberts.com. I used to be on a nationally syndicated talk radio show about libertarianism called The Freedom Fiends. And now I just do mostly podcasting and YouTube videos, which you can find at /MACHWON, Mach 1, kind of a weird way of spelling it. But you can find all that stuff at jimjesus.com. How's it going, Mitch?
Oh,
I've been actually watching your channel for a long time.
I've seen
Yeah.
you around for a long time as well, but I don't think we really started chatting until very recently, though.
Right, yeah.
And like I've checked out your content as well, and I really like it, especially when you do proper videos. Don't mind your streams, but I love your aesthetic. You know, the whole Nickelodeon thing.
Nickelodeon.
Nick.
Yeah, it's kind of-
Nickelodeon.
Yeah, it's kind of like a take on like Memphis design, which was really popular in the 80s, and it had like a resurgence in the early 90s again with the whole like Nickelodeon, Saved by the Bell, that sort of thing.
They might be
I really do
remaking
love that aesthetic.
Saved by the Bell. I heard.
Yeah, they keep bringing it back every once in a while.
Never got into it.
But
never
Zach
got
Morris
into
is
it.
trash. Well, because Zach Morris is trash. Once you start you grow up and you look back on it, you're like, wow, Zach Morris is like the villain of the story, but he's like portrayed as like the antagonist, but he's not. He's definitely a protagonist. He's genuinely evil.
Wow, is that like with the benefit of experience, like being older, like but this guy is the good guy.
Yeah, like, well, he's always manipulating people. He's always like lying to people. He's always trying to like get what he wants, even at the expense of other people. He's just downright an awful person. Like he'll ask a girl out on a date, and she'll be like, "I'm thinking about it," and then she'll come up to him and be like, "Oh, I want to go on a date," and he was like, "I never asked you on a date. I asked her to go on a date because she's the new hot girl in school and treats everybody like trash."
Machiavelli.
Yeah.
But anyway, with us as well as the ever-present co-hosts. How you doing, Chicago? First of all,
I'm doing all right. How about you, Mitch?
not too bad, all things considered. Don't worry, guys. I'm okay. If you saw the announcements recently, but don't worry about it. And how you do? I don't have to coof, not yet.
Oh, okay.
That was me knocking wood. My desk is actually wood. And
Knock on wood.
Alkazai, how you doing? Why are you gay?
Not too good, considering a nurse that visited my grandpa didn't wear a mask and sneezed and now has tested for coronavirus.
Oh no.
And I visited him yesterday.
How's he though? Is he all right?
Yeah, so he was visited by the stay-at-home nurse, the in-home nurse Monday, but then didn't test positive till yesterday. So we're hoping she cut it on Tuesday.
Oof. We can only hope.
So the thing is, he's been in quarantine without knowing it for 4 days because we called our doctor afterwards, and he said, since you're already 4 days in, you'll start experiencing symptoms if you caught it tomorrow or in the next few days.
So far,
but if 11 more days he doesn't show symptoms, we can go out. But if he starts showing symptoms, we're gonna have to
the
stay
thing
in
is,
for
he
14
might
days.
not though, because a lot of it's asymptomatic.
He might not.
So, but then
He might not. But
I've never heard of people dying from asymptomatic though.
No.
So he should be.
Well,
fine.
I'm particularly concerned about it because he has reduced lung capacity.
Oh yeah.
He lost 25% of his capacity in his left lung.
Is that the Parkinson's or is that just something?
It's not Parkinson's. I think it's just because it's deteriorating with age.
Oh, that's a shame. That must be quite an extreme.
Because he never smoked or anything.
Yeah, it's weird that, isn't it?
He thought it was a waste. He thought it was a waste of money.
Yeah, well, he's not wrong, is
Well,
he?
because it is.
I mean, he's not wrong, but like he just like everybody in the military when he was like would be eating lunch in the mess hall or whatever, everybody would be smoking at the same time, and everybody would look at him like, "Hey, why aren't you smoking?" It's like it's fucking stupid, you retards.
I have financial reasons. I have
sense. Financial reasons. He also just didn't get the appeal of it.
So how's Meffy, Jim?
She's content right now. She was very active earlier and like meowing and making all kinds of fuss. I was wondering if she was going to keep it up, but now
you know what we need? We need a Meffy / whoever the cats are in Sticks X Nammers videos. We need that crossover.
Yeah.
So if you
satanic cats.
So like, I think you're not the first libertarian we've had on.
Who was the first? Chicago's a libertarian.
No,
more of a classical liberal than
classical
a libertarian.
Liberal, yeah. More Mises Hayek than Hopper or Rothbard or whoever.
Yeah, I'm not even a Rothbardian or a Hoppian. I'm very different. So like, I'm not really interested in the NAP. I think it's a good rule of thumb at best. I'm also not interested in Austrian economics so much, but even though I do listen to their like occasional talks and stuff, I'm much more of a Chicago school.
Yeah,
I think there's problems with
roles.
praxeology.
Your Chicago school under our thing.
Yeah. Much more bigger fan of like David Friedman and that sort of type.
Sowell is
Brian
God.
Kaplan. Sowell, yep.
Sowell is pretty good, yeah.
I'm reading basic economics again.
Well,
nice.
You should learn. You should read advanced economics.
I'm getting that one eventually. Yeah. No. It's economics applied, isn't it? No, it's applied economics is advanced one, isn't it?
Oh no, that's like a Marxist meme. Is that like people be like, oh, Marxists don't understand basic economics, and they're like, yeah, we don't. We understand advanced economics. It's like, how can you understand advanced economics if you didn't even read the first book?
To be fair though,
hey Jim, it's because they just do.
Oh.
What I find funny is throughout the years they've had less and less economic sense. Like Marx and Engels had some knowledge of the basics. They read Ricardo and Adam Smith and all that. They got some of it, but then they tried to add their own ideas. And then since then it's kind of like, what's that process when things get dumber and dumber? I think there's a name for it.
I'll call it the Marx-Engels effect.
Incest.
I'll call it being a dumb motherfucker. I don't know.
It's intellectual incest. They just keep, getting into closer and closer echo chambers and breeding incestuous ideas that get dumber and dumber, and they lose more knowledge as a result.
Is that? And then the next thing you know, they're going around saying, "Oh, the state's going to collapse any minute now, guys. Any minute now.
Any minute
now."
When Lenin
for the last
so.
5 years,
and Lenin's like, do we get the economy going?
Any second now, the capitalist system is going to collapse. It's like, no, it's not.
Who do you think
tomorrow, guys? I swear.
Up.
Out of all like the Politburo, right? Out of all the Politburo, have you seen? Funny enough, for a frame of reference, have you seen The Death of Stalin, Jim?
No, I've been meaning to see that. I should probably put that in my docket.
But you probably know a lot of
there's no new movies coming out, so might as well watch that.
Maybe on like Wednesday or Thursday, we can go and do a shared screening in the server for Death of Stalin.
Definitely.
I'm down.
But
Thursday, you said I'll do that. I always wanted to see the movie, but I never have. So
it is wonderful. I've seen it like 5 times.
But like everybody knows certain people.
You're
from the
wonderful,
Politburo.
Chicago.
But like my question is, everybody knows some people from the Politburo, or the famous ones. Your Molotovs, your Malenkovs, Khrushchev, Stalin. But who do you think was the dumb one who was legitimately thinking, yeah, it's going to collapse any minute now? I'm trying to think. Who was the dumbest one? Who was the true believer?
I think it was Benechev. Benechev was kind of senile towards the end of his reign.
What about the guy who got disappeared? Like he literally went to his trial. Like yeah. This is for the revolution. This is for the greater good.
Yeah, guys, it's gonna come down any day now.
I'll die. I'll die for the revolution. I committed crimes, even though I didn't. It's true.
Is he a cuck then? If he did that, you basically just a cuck.
He's not a cuck. He's brainwashed.
Okay.
Because even though he did nothing wrong, he still kind of accepted his guilty charge. Like, it's ridiculous.
Whoa! What kind of stream did I pop on here? We're talking about didn't do's nothing wrong. What?
Yeah, his punishment must have been airbrushed from photographs. I forgot his name.
Spergonomics, Jim.
People.
Oh, I do know that Stalin's son was airbrushed off of photos.
Was he?
That was a thing. Yeah.
Oh, he was
Which
mental.
one? He had 2.
Yeah.
was it the mental one, the crazy one? He was like, "Are you running this place?" Arr!
I'm not sure. I think he defected or something. I don't know the full story, but I know that there's lots of pictures with Stalin with his son, and then there's alternate versions with his son disappearing. So.
What's that one famous picture? That one famous example? Who was that guy erased? Where it's
that's
like
what
by
I'm
the
referring
river?
to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I forgot his name. He was like the head of the secret police, I think, at one point. I'm gonna look it up.
Beria?
No, not Beria. No, he was a different guy.
Was it the guy before Beria?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was.
Let's
have a look. What was his name? It's coming. Don't worry. It is
We just have to wait.
Nikolai. If I can just get Yetsov, that's it. That was his name, and he was definitely to do with secret police. Yeah, he was a secret police official, but he also did he was a commissar for water transport and stuff like that. But his main job was internal affairs and things like that, spying on people. Not quite Beria, but getting there.
Okay.
But
Okay.
So anyway, Jim, you started in YouTube when Zeitgeist was a big thing.
Well, I was actually before that. I actually used to post videos of me protesting Scientology way back in the day. A lot of those kind of videos are gone now.
Glad to see that you're still alive.
Yeah.
Didn't bunk you
You
off.
weren't sent to the hole or anything.
Nah, well, I got interested in Scientology because this was like in 2006 when MySpace was a thing. Do you remember that? Were you guys around
Oh
for that?
God,
I
yeah.
was friends with the owner.
Dude, Jim Jesus for perspective.
you were friends with Tom?
I was.
If you want
I
a
think
perspective on my age, I'm still in high school.
Oh.
He's young. He's
Oh no. Yeah, so
He's legal.
What have we
I
done
was
to
on-
the youth?
I was on MySpace and they were because I just saw that South Park episode about Scientology and I was like, do they really believe in this new thing? And I went to a few of the groups and they were like, yeah, this is where you can find more information about that. And I was like, that's crazy. Okay, I probably won't even care about this anymore.
This is what they actually believe.
Yeah, and then I started getting messages from some of the people on that group that were like, hey, they're passing around this list and you're at the top of that list. They're trying to get your account banned from MySpace. And I was like, what? I was like, why are they doing that? Like, why would a religious organization do that? And they're like, well, it's this. And I was like, oh, thank you for the information. And my name kept appearing on this list. I never got banned, but it just kept appearing on this list. And I was like, all right, something is wrong here. And the more they kept passing around letters with my name on it saying, like, report this account, the more I became interested in it to the point where I got like involved with Operation Clambake and reached out to like some fellow people because I lived in Wichita at the time. Some fellow people in Kansas.
Oh, hey, you were living near some of my extended family then.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm not a big fan of Kansas. Sorry.
Yeah, not a big fan of it either.
This isn't Kansas.
The only decent part is the KC metro area, but even then, it's there's nothing.
Yeah, I lived in Wichita, which is like nothing city.
Topeka is kind of neat because of its old architecture, because of the old state buildings, but
You see,
meh.
I have a question. Why is Arkansas, but Kansas isn't Kansas?
Oh, I actually know the explanation for that.
Go on.
So basically, they have the same etymology. They both come from the word for the Kansas tribe. But the thing is, Arkansas was the French pronunciation, so it was Kansas or something like that. But Kansas was taken from the anglicization of their name, which was
because
just
I was
Kansas.
talking to Rags about it because he's from Arkansas and he's like, it's French, but we're just taking the mick out of it. Like, no, it's Arkansas.
Yeah,
it's
so
Arkansas.
It was. I think it means of the Kansas tribe.
I was just
like,
better than Idaho, which was named for gibberish.
Yeah, because like I mean the Ozark has a similar etymology because it's a corruption of the word Oarks, which means of the something, but I can't remember what it was. But after years and years of white trash settlers into the Ozarks, it became.
Ramsey Paul, he's from Arkansas, and I was just checking out his podcast because Styx is on it.
Where in Arkansas does Rags live?
I don't know. He didn't say. He just lives in the state, and he was on about the delicious Negro Modelo, and I thought, well, why are people worried? Hardly anybody lives there. In fact, you could make the case that nobody lives in Arkansas.
Well, I mean, there's a Little Rock, so there is a fair amount of people in Arkansas.
Yeah, but it's not Big Rock, is it?
No, Arkansas.
Got him.
Arkansas is not that populated. I think there's only like 5 million people there.
I think it's less. I think it's 2.
No,
5
Kansas has
million
like 2
people.
million.
That's what? A little bit
bet
less
there's more
than a
raccoons than
small
people.
European country.
Yeah, I think there's more.
Oh,
Austrians
Arkansas's
than-
population's just over 3 million.
Oh, right. So there's only slightly more Arkansas people than Slovenians.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if you're in Kansas and you go to the Arkansas River, or you go to Arkansas Street or Avenue or Boulevard, and you say, "Hey, I like this Arkansas Street," or you like this Arkansas River, people will get mad. People will get
Why?
genuinely mad because you're not supposed to call it Arkansas. There's a state called Arkansas, but that's the Arkansas River, and that's Arkansas Avenue. And if you call it Arkansas, they'll genuinely be angry with you. And I was just like, okay,
cool.
whoa, calm
Next
down.
Time I go to
Whoa.
Next time I go to Kansas, I have something to do.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird that? Isn't it weird that
Excuse me, do you know where the Arkansas River is?
Excuse me. Do you
what
know
are you
where?
saying, boy? I don't know. I don't have the soundbar. Jim does, guys. But like, I was
God, I
thinking,
love
like,
this.
isn't it weird that what should be their capital city, Kansas City, is not in Kansas? It's in Missouri.
Oh, the thing. No,
Part
there's
of
no.
it is
It's
in
not.
Kansas, actually.
There
Part
is a
of-
Kansas City, Kansas.
Yeah, there is
but
a Kansas City.
that doesn't really count, even though we do appreciate their pottery barns.
The thing is about well, the thing is Kansas City came first, then Kansas was named.
Ah,
Kansas City, Missouri came first. That's the reason for that.
Yeah.
didn't we take?
And
that
it's not Kansas City. If you talk to anybody in Kansas City, it's not Kansas City. It's Kansas City, Missouri.
Well, here's the thing. I'm from St. Louis, and Kansas City, they are beneath me.
Is this literally like
Literally.
Like, so, are they
Literally.
south
Damn,
from you?
that's some hot shit coming from someone from St. Louis.
No, I was trying
The
to make
only
a
good
joke.
thing about Kansas City is barbecue. Otherwise, it is just endless suburbia and nothing else.
See, I was trying
All
to make
right,
a joke.
St. Louis.
I was trying to make a directional joke. Then, like, are they literally south from you?
No, they're
beneath you?
slightly north.
Oh, so you're beneath them.
Yeah, but morally, I'm better. I'm a better
Ah,
person.
but literally in the Great Highlands.
about that?
Yes.
So like, I
Go
remember...
back to Reddit, Jim Jesus. I swear to God. I'm gonna...
Jim was in.
Wait, you're saying I'm from Reddit?
Yes.
Lie!
No, Jim was from
Go.
Evo's World or something.
Reddit called. They want their cringe back.
Jim, what was like the pre-Reddit before Reddit? Like, what was the main place to go?
Dig.
Yeah, I think Dig. That was the Dig.
It was
That
Dig,
the
but
thing.
eventually Dig. I forgot what they did, but Dig did something to piss everybody off, so they all went to Reddit. Either that, it was just large collections of internet
And
forums that
then
had little to
Reddit
do with
pissed
each
off the
other.
Redditors, and then a lot of them went to Vote, and then we never heard about Vote ever again.
Oh.
Yeah, but now I've stopped using Reddit. I only go on like 2 subreddits.
Mm-hmm.
I only go on to the ANCAP subreddits because
Yeah,
those
I only-
are hilarious.
I only go to the Neolib subreddit now.
See, I go on
Aw.
our relationships to see the crazy stories. Oh, there was one that was
R
fake.
slash am I the asshole? No, you're not the asshole.
There was
That's
one that
basically-
there was one recently that was fake, and this woman who's in like lockdown with her husband and daughter, and the husband and daughter are gamers, and they're just playing together for hours on end, and she's getting jealous. But then she also thinks, "Wait, is the worst happening in the room?" And she thinks, and she asked her husband a question, and it was entitled, "I ruined my family with one question." And she asked her husband, "Are you molesting our daughter?" And he left. And then when his daughter found out she asked that question, the daughter then left as well.
Did she just straight up make up allegations of that shit?
No,
And
she
be like,
literally thought that the joke was she literally thought that he was molesting her because they were indoors just playing video games together.
Oh.
Oh,
It
that's
turned
what
out
I
to be
do if I
real or
had a
something?
kid.
Remember, this is a
Right now.
troll. It's not real. You know, this.
Oh, okay.
It got deleted because it was proven fake. But if it was true, wow. Way to
Wow.
go. Way to go.
Cringe.
This
unbased and cringe build.
and that happens is what that happened. I like that because these things totally happened. Or like yesterday, Laura Towler. Have you heard of Laura Towler, Jim?
No, who is
this? She is a ethno-nat from the north of England, and she.
Ew.
Read
Well, you should know
someone
who
who
she
doesn't
is, Jim.
matter.
You should know who she is. She was. Oh, never mind. I'll tell you later. But but anyway, she said, "Oh, I was just on my break at work, and I heard 3 workers. I don't know if she works with them or whatever. Maybe she was at home actually. She was writing stupid articles, and they were talking about the Jews apparently, how they run everything.
As you do.
As you do. Totally happened." No, but it could have been actually.
I don't even know. I can't even think right now. I'm so sleepy.
Sorry.
It's alright. But I just found it funny. Like they could have been talking about the deli or whatever, but she decided, well, it's not good when they're talking about delis and maybe going for lunch, as maybe they could be doing. Oh, V apparently was talking about this.
V.
Is V still a thing?
V's,
I have not been following any of like the rational skeptics in quite a while.
V broke 100,000 a few months ago.
Fucking finally took him long enough.
Oh no, it was ages ago. Actually, it may have been last year. I can't remember. Look, time flies. What can I say?
I don't watch V's content anymore.
I've been
Because I
watching
just
him
found it
again.
increasingly more.
I've been watching him again. I met him.
I
Though.
just find him to be kind of cringe. So
I've met V. He's a nice guy. He's very small.
he's very small. Okay.
I mean, he is Romanian.
Oh.
You have to expect that.
Ah, that explains it.
Well, he is also a gypsy, so
No, he is not a gypsy.
Speaking of which, I still think that Romania is the best national anthem ever because it references Trajan.
I'm sorry, but if the Cold War was fought on national anthems alone, like America would be dead.
America would have lost.
No, France would have won. France would have won.
Americans can't even sing their own. We can't even sing our own national anthem. There's too many octaves.
Yeah, apparently it is a
Hail
very...
Columbia's better anyway.
Yeah, apparently that song is impossible to sing. That's why they made
Battle Hymn of the Republic's way better.
It's kind of like how a lot of Britain's best anthems were made in the 19th century.
Yeah, in order for you to sing it, you have
have
to start out like singing as low as you can. And most people don't. Most people just sing in their normal register, and then by the time they're getting into like the second bar, they're already like an octave higher than they can go.
Because
In
most
the
people
second
have 2
bar,
octaves.
some dog in a random suburban yard is just barking because only they can hear it.
The thing is, though, right? Isn't it? It's a song that's made for people like Chris Cornell, but most people are not like Chris Cornell.
Yeah.
4 octaves or whatever.
I still think that My Country 'Tis of Thee should have been the anthem instead.
It's just basically like it sounds the same to fucking God Save the Queen and shit.
Because it is God Save the Queen.
My country,
'Tis of thee.
Sweet land of
land
liberty.
of titties
It's
of
him, isn't
thee I sing.
Well, all
You know what's
these...
funny is like when I hear that song, I think of the Red and Stimpy version, the Royal Canadian Kilted Yaxmen.
But the thing is, right, they're all
are
hymns. Like, a lot of anthems are based on Christian hymns. That's probably a hymn of some kind,
You're
and
right.
that people just, stealing the melody. There's loads of There's loads of anthems based on God Save the Queen. It's well weird, or King, whatever it is.
The Chinese Empire anthem was based on God Save the King.
It was, yeah. I'm not going to go there. I was thought
I
of
think
something.
same with the anthem for Burma for a while.
But we know what the anthem of the ANCAPs are.
Oh yeah, it's loads of money.
Loads of money.
Money, money, money.
Must be funny. Well, that's more of a Marxist
Actually,
anthem.
Best
someone
things
made
in
against
life
the
are
Soviet
free,
national anthem
but
for
you can give it
ANCAPs.
to the birds and bees. I want money.
That's a good song.
Loads of money. Yeah, it's the best song. We
like-
should turn it into America's national anthem.
So you went from like Scientology, right, Jim, and stuff like that. Did you ever go into like Christianity and stuff like that? Did you ever get involved in the atheist debates?
I tried to briefly, and then I started noticing pretty before a lot of other people that it was getting kind of cringe and fedora tipping. and so I kind of dropped out of that. And the video that I did have up where I did the blasphemy challenge, I took that shit down. Luckily, there's no mirrors of it. I hope not. There's no mirrors of it because it's pretty cringe.
See, I think they were tipping at each other. Like, my fedora is smaller than yours.
Yeah, I do think that all that stuff was kind of necessary at the very beginning, because I remember, like, if I told anybody I was an atheist, it was like, oh, you're going to go to hell, fuck you. You know, and there was like a lot of negative stigma about it. So something like the Rational Response Squad was necessary at the time. Why they continue to try to exist now is beyond me, because they've already achieved their goal. Like, if I tell people that I'm an atheist now, they're just going to go like, oh, okay. Pretty cringe.
Yeah, I had one person that I do love a lot. She's a nice girl, but oh god, I hope she's not watching. But I'm not going to name names. But she was saying that people suffering COVID-19 were suffering more than Jesus did when he died. And I thought, I don't know, they put him through a lot of those 3 days.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Should have gone through more, if you ask me. But
I've read that part of the scripture. We ain't suffering more than he did.
No, I mean, she means the people who are actually suffering, but
yeah, dude, every mass said Easter when I was growing up.
I know this. Maybe the old people could be comparatively suffering like that, but they tortured him.
It's not the same as getting nailed to a cross.
Well, they tortured him for like 2 days straight as well. Or whatever. They did loads of stuff. It's very masochistic.
They did the whip where like it rips out pieces of your flesh and stuff.
Yeah.
Having pneumonia that speaks Mandarin is not as bad as this.
Communism.
Yeah, I think I'd rather have the Mugo guy pandemic than to a cross.
I'd rather have the mystery woohoo flu.
Yeah, I'd rather have the sweet and sour sickness, please.
The Scooby flu.
The Hong Kong fluey.
The chop fluey.
The Kung flu.
The woo, as opposed to the who.
The woo flu.
The woo.
Woo flu.
I prefer the Kung flu.
And then I watched one of your earlier videos, which is still massively downvoted. It was the Venus Project, or more
that's my most viewed.
The Zeitgeist.
No, it's my second most viewed video.
Wow.
My first most viewed video was Hank Hill listens to Vaporwave, which blew up for no reason. It's got like I think it's got 500,000 views last time I checked.
Well, you hit
damn, I should don't listen to that video now. Hank Hill listens to Vaporwave.
It's great though.
This sounds pretty fire.
So do you remember when you were introduced to Zeitgeist? Because I do.
Yes. Okay, so I was living in Kansas and I was going to move back to LA because I had a friend who lived in like the Hollywood Hills, and they had a room for rent for like super cheap. And I was like, and they were offering me a job doing medical marijuana, and I was like, fuck yeah, let's do this.
Smoke weed every day.
Yeah, and this is the time that I did smoke weed every day. Which, by the way, where is that?
Smoke weed every day.
Yeah, so I went there and I was like, all right, let's go there. And then on the way there, I was like, let me stop in Riverside and check in on everybody and see how they're doing, because I was just kind of scouting the area, just scouting everything. And my buddy was like, yeah, man, we're into the Zeitgeist movement thing. And I was like, what, I mean, like the first movie? And they're like, oh, no, there's like another movie now. And, it's about this, and it's about this new society, and we're going to get rid of money. And they were explaining it to me. And I'm like, bro, that's just Marxism. Like, no, it's different. And I was like, how is it different? And they would explain to me. I'm like, yeah, like that's literally what Marxism. I read. And like Das Kapital and collective works of Robert. And like, no, it's different. And I was like, all right, well, I'll watch the movie and I'll get back to you. And I ended up watching it, and I was like, this is just Marxism, but they're just kind of replacing all the buzzwords with other different buzzwords. They're just kind of repackaging it in kind of a technocratic sense. And I was like, okay, this is whatever. I never thought about it again. And then one of the YouTubers that I followed, Eagle Eye, you probably remember Eagle Eye 1975.
Yeah, I remember
that guy?
He made a video to me trying to correct my pronunciation of words, which I couldn't help. You might have seen it. You might have seen it. Too Charming Man 93 or whatever. How to pronounce
I may have.
How charming.
Because I think I've got rid of it, but I used to do thinking as opposed to thinking. Actually, I just did it now, but he noticed it, whereas I didn't.
Yeah, and so like he was making a video response to this guy named Voice of Reason 467, which, by the way, if you search for that on YouTube, you'll find some delicious fire. Like that guy's story is interesting, to say the least. And he made a video response to him, and I was like, okay, I have to like interject because this is so dumb. And then when I made my first video about it, like it was like they all kind of came out of nowhere, like a weird cult. I wouldn't say they're a cult, but they're kind of definitely have this cult of personality around Peter Joseph and Jacques Fresco, and they're all coming to downvote my video and talk crap at me, and I was like, wow, I kind of like this. So it's like, I like making these people mad. Let's make more videos. I just kept making more and more and more, and that Venus Project video that I did, that's still on my channel. Why I don't advocate the Zeitgeist movement in the Venus Project video. I just posted it thinking like, okay, this is going to be like my one-off video, but just something that I can point to in case like someone's like, well, why don't you advocate this? I could be like, here's why. I guess they started passing around that video on Facebook and say, everybody downvote this video right now. And what it did is, because at the time YouTube didn't care if a video was up thumbed or down thumbed, they would see that as engagement and go, wow, people are engaging with this video. Let's recommend it to other people in the algorithm. And it just blew up, like just freaking blew up. And I was just like, Jesus.
So basically you got the Streisand effect.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of like, all right, I'll just leave it up then, because it's going to make these people mad.
Based.
Yeah. And I ended up having a couple of feuds with people like Voice of Reason, who was, like I said, is an interesting character. If you hear his whole story, it's fascinating how stupid this person is.
Well, I wasn't
this doesn't sound very reasonable, doesn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't around for ADHD, so I don't know who the fuck you're talking about.
I remember when I was introduced to Zeitgeist, it was an old friend of mine. He was the big brain of the group. The big brain guy is into all sorts of, he was into all the left wing kind of stuff, and he was watching Zeitgeist. Oh, we all watched parts of it. I watched the first one and the second one, and he watched all of them. He said, you should watch them, they're really good. And like, I remember watching the first one and liking it, but I'd read the Communist Manifesto, I think, around about that time, maybe a little bit later, but it didn't occur to me that it was Marxist. I was just like, well, it's pretty far out, man. It's pretty like, left libertarian, and I was like, yeah, I'm into this. But then like the second one, I watched that and I thought, he's spending half the time talking about God. And don't get me wrong, I'm an atheist. I don't mind some criticisms of religion where it's warranted. But I thought this stuff about Horus, the Age of Aquarius. I now know that's from Jung, by the way, isn't it? Right?
I know a lot of that stuff came from Jordan Maxwell, and he got it from various kind of writers. I can't remember any of them off the top of my head, but
because the oldest author I know mentioned that was Jung, the psychologist.
I think there was something like in the 1800s. There was like some Freemasons, and a lot of this kind of stuff comes from like Freemasonry, kind of alternate history on religion and stuff. Yeah. So I like, not that I have I actually have friends that are Freemasons. I don't care about it. I just think that they're wrong about I just think they're wrong about religion. Yeah, they're astrotheology stuff.
They were boomers before.
I just wish they would stop controlling the world.
No, that's the Satanists, don't you know?
Yeah. Those are us.
There's a Satanist church in St. Louis. I kind of want to fuck with them one time.
Please do, because those are satanic temple people, and they're awful. They're not even real Satanists. They're SJWs who just role play as Satanists to.
And the thing is, right? That was
worshipping Satan to own the conservatives.
Yeah, I want
exactly what they are.
I'll just go in there dressed in like a priest costume, or just fucking. I don't know.
No, even better. Just go on in and LARP as a D&D cleric and starts throwing holy water at people.
They probably like it. I think they get pleasure out of that. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's purifying us, yeah, man. But anyway, like that was the last time I ever saw of the Zeitgeist. Like after that, Occupy happened, and it kind of whittled away. But
what happened was, what really killed it was, so Peter Joseph and Jacques Fresco. Jacques Fresco is kind of like the guy who came up with the ideas.
He was old.
Peter Joseph.
Then. I'm surprised he lived to 101.
And then you had Peter Joseph, who was making the videos, and the Zeitgeist movement was supposed to be the activist arm of the Venus Project, and. When you have two megalomaniacs working together, it's not going to work out, and there's going to be a fallout. And eventually there was a video that kind of got surfaced of Jacques Fresco at his little compound, I guess it's the best word to describe it, giving like a tour, and someone asked him about the Venus Project, and he's like, Peter Joseph knows nothing. The Zeitgeist movement knows nothing. They just took my ideas and ran with it and changed it, everything. And so they had a big fallout, and Venus Project and the Zeitgeist movement kind of became their own very different things. But when that happened, it got a lot of people to go like, yeah, who were railing about how we need to get rid of our egos and just worry about mankind. And then you have your two people that you look up to having an ego battle in front of your eyes. A lot of people are just like, I mean, if these guys can't even put their ego aside for 5 minutes, how are they expecting me to? And a lot of people just was like, this is not working. And they ended up becoming Marxist. There was a couple, I know one of them ended up becoming like a big Trump supporter. He was actually like the main host of a Zeitgeist TV show on a cable access network.
Wow.
Based in Redfield.
Yeah.
We all have to start somewhere.
Yeah. But a lot of these people they've never kind of experienced politics. You know, they've probably seen, an election, debate, and that's probably their whole experience with it.
Bear in mind, I was 17 and never got into it.
Yeah. They had no kind of experience with this whatsoever. And if you try to explain things like, no, resource-based economy, that whole term is like, it's kind of like saying anal butt sex in the ass. It's a redundant term. Like, all economies are resource based. Like, the whole point of economics is to talk about redistribution or distribution of resources and how to do it most efficiently.
The use
all of them are
scarce resources that have alternative uses.
Yeah. And so, like, you try to explain this to them, they're like, no, it's not. It's all about money. It's like, it's not. I mean, Marxists don't believe in money at the end of the day, and they still talk about economics. Like, explain that. They can't.
I just wish Marxists would stop being retarded.
Good luck with that.
They're Marxists.
Yeah.
I know that's the thing, It's just, God, they're really retarded.
Well, in 2070, we're not going to have to worry about the disabled or the Marxists.
No.
Because we're just gonna kill them.
The views of Jim Jesus, the views of Jim Jesus do not reflect the views of the Spergonomics podcast.
Yes, they do. They absolutely do.
Because I will throw you off a helicopter if I have to.
Hey, that's my job.
Do it, Daddy.
Ha, lolbert.
Okay, liberal.
You were supposed to say that's
I am not
word.
Liberal.
Oh yeah, that's my word. That's our word.
Dude, look. I'm not a liberal. I have black friends.
So how did you get into? Here's something that you two might not know about Jim, but he was once D-Food, weren't you?
D-Food.
That's Stefan Molyneux. You were a Molyneux fan.
So I was actually kind of interested in Molyneux, like, during the Zeitgeist thing, because that's kind of about the time that I was really kind of interested in this stuff, because he was like the one ANCAP who was talking about the Zeitgeist movement the most. And so I kind of got interested in him. I started like, it's really kind of hard to say that I was really into it, but I was starting to get into things like UPB and all of his stuff. And there was sort of like some writing on the wall that he was like a cult leader, and I was interested in cults because of Scientology and stuff, and I actually wanted to be a cult exit counselor for a while. And
I wanted to be a cult leader when I grew up.
Oh,
I was really interested. I was really interested in starting one because I have fantasies of being a very powerful person.
Whatever you are, you're the opposite of magnetizing.
No, I'm an e-girl magnet. What the fuck are you talking about, dude?
No, you gravitate to us, not the other way around.
So, yeah. So I but people were calling him a cult leader, and I was like, I don't know about all that, because the only videos that I watched were his videos about like economics or libertarianism, and I really wasn't interested in all of his other like call-in shows and pop psychology stuff. But then someone was like, no, you have to listen to one of these call-in shows, Jim. If you really like them and you want to understand the criticisms of them, you have to listen to them. So I was like, all right, I did. And when I did, I was like, this is culty as fuck. Something is wrong here. And so I started digging, and I found like websites like what is it called? I can't even think of it. FDR Liberated, which is like a website dedicated to exposing Molyneux for being a fraud and a cult leader and stuff. And I was like, holy fuck, like this guy is awful, just terrible.
I heard the word FDR, I was immediately
Free Domain Radio. Free Domain Radio.
Yeah.
Not Franklin Delano.
Wait, I have a question. What like bad stuff has he done? Because like I don't like Molyneux, but I don't know the extent to his behavior.
Stolen money.
Yeah.
Has he?
Does he? I don't know about that. So there was a time when like he was collecting money to do a documentary that never got made.
Yeah, that's what
he ended up doing. Yeah, he ended up doing like a documentary later on about something completely different. But he was going to do like a documentary about him and philosophy That never happened. He did videos about like the ethno state and Hong Kong, which is not what he was collecting money for. And that was like years before then. So I was kind of like skeptical about that, but no, that's not really it. The big thing was what he would do is he would talk about, like defooing, which is getting rid of your family of origin or disassociating from family of origin, foo. And even bringing on his wife, who is a board counsel or a board certified counselor. And she was even at the time was going like, I don't want to do this because I could lose my license and I'm not really completely on board with all this stuff. And and he ended up pressuring her to do this. And there's audio of him like peer pressuring her into doing that and bringing on like listeners to come and browbeat her to do it. And she finally did start doing a show called Ask a Therapist, which the Canadian Board of Psychologists came down on her and said that's a violation of ethics. You can't recommend dissociating from your family of origin from remote places. They have to be like one of your clients. So they reprimanded her, suspended her license, but they suspended the suspension once they started digging into her files and started realizing that she doesn't advocate this stuff at her practice. This is only stuff that she advocates on the show. And so they just had people like watching over her for a couple of months, and that was kind of her punishment. And that was kind of concerning to me. And on top of that, the more I kind of dug into the stuff, I was kind of like, this guy is not right. And it kind of fits with the Hassan Bite model of, like determining what are cults. And same with the Lifton's 8 criteria of a thought reform group. And I was like, this is a straight out cult. And I don't think he does it anymore. I know that his forum is gone now. He completely deleted it. If one exists just like it on Facebook, that's questionable. But I have not heard of any apostates coming out since that forum closed. They're all kind of gone. So I'm guessing his kind of cult project is gone now. But for a while, he was running a cult.
Yeah, he went on Joe Rogan and everything, and he lied to his face.
Yeah. What was this cult centered around? Was it just himself?
Just him.
Yeah.
Just him.
Yeah.
Universal preferable behavior. Sorry. Yeah.
So the whole argument that he makes to disassociate from everybody, because he wanted you to only associate with people that were involved with him, is his argument was, if someone doesn't believe in anarcho-capitalism as he projects it, then what they're saying is that they want you in jail. Like he always wanted to personalize and abstract. So like the libertarian argument, like if you advocate for some sort of government force, what you're basically advocating is government violence against people.
You want me to be shot?
But it was always like, do you want me shot? Because I advocate for these things, and if I can't practice what I preach, then it's just meaningless talking. So if I can't practice it, and if you're going to try to use force to stop me to do it, do you want me shot for disagreeing with you? And if they answer yes, it's kind of a point of view. Yeah, my favorite Molyneux joke is like, do you want me shot? Okay, bad example.
Do you want me shot? Yes, I do, Molyneux. I don't like you.
Yeah.
The Virgin Molyneux and the Chad statist. Yes.
The Virgin Molyneux versus the Chad statist. Oh my god.
So there's like lots of people who ended up coming out who were part of his kind of inner group. That was the real cult. Everything around it was just kind of like him trying to bring people in who he can suss out to be like in his friends of FDR or the inner circle, as it were. And there was a few people who were in this inner circle who had left and became vocal critics of it and kind of like apostates, like Colleen, who since left the internet, but there's still remnants of her stuff around the internet. And then there was like the Truth About Free Domain Radio. He was involved with that as well. And there were some other people who kind of mentioned stuff like on various sites and stuff like that, like FDR Liberated. And I was just kind of like, okay, yeah, this guy's running a cult. I have to say something about it. And while this was happening, he ended up filing a bunch of false DMCAs against a critic after a BuzzFeed article came out about Molyneux. Because occasionally, like, a broken clock's right twice a day, and occasionally BuzzFeed posts something of value. And this is what they and so they ended up posting this article talking about how he was a cult leader, and they were showing examples of him saying culty things. But the things that they were showing were clips of a YouTube channel called True Shibes, who was like a very vigilant critic who would listen to everything Molyneux ever produced, and cut those segments out to show you like this is what he's saying. Here's him contradicting himself. Here's him saying things that like a cult would say. Here's him admitting that libertarianism and all that and his economic views and all that stuff is just bait on the hook to get people into his cult. And he ended up filing, like, I think we don't know, but the BuzzFeed article went down. The guy who wrote the article still to this day has no clue what happened to that article, and he thinks that he sent them a threatening letter. And the videos that they were showing were all DMCA'd, and the YouTube channel ended up getting shut down, which is interesting because Molyneux does not believe in copyright, and he always puts his stuff in the public domain. So it's kind of like, what's going on here? If you don't believe in intellectual property, and why are you shutting these down?
Is he a geo-libertarian?
No, he's not a geo-libertarian.
Okay.
What in the world is a geo-libertarian?
They're kind of like Georgists. They're
Georgists, but also libertarians at the same time.
Yeah. So they don't believe that you can own land and landlords are bad and etc. No,
they also don't believe in. Also, a lot of Georgists don't believe in intellectual property for some reason. So I was wondering, is he one of those types?
No. Most of the ANCAP libertarians are very against intellectual property for very different reasons. Yeah, but anyways, so everybody was kind of like, why is this person like filing false DMCA's against this person? Like there were clearly fair use. Like they were using it for criticism and critique. So what's going on? And he wouldn't answer questions. I ended up going onto the forum and saying like, hey, what's going on? And I got banned from the forum. And eventually they ended up having, because people kept doing that, people, listeners of the show were like, what's going on? They ended up issuing a statement saying that True Shibes was doxing people. So True Shibes was like, okay, so now I have two claims, and went to court against Molyneux, and they ended up settling out of court and reinstating her account. And he had to admit that she never doxed anybody, and that those things were in fair use, and reinstated her account. But for a while, it was kind of like a big cognitive dissonance with these people. It's kind of like, how could you say that, Molyneux, who wants to defoo anybody who's using the state violence against people for various reasons, to go and
uses the state to be violent?
Yeah, which the DMCA is a government thing. It's not YouTube. There's a good Tom Scott video about intellectual property and YouTube, and he's talking about YouTube's not broken. It's the everything. It's copyright.
Yeah, I saw that Tom Scott video. It's actually really good. Oh, yeah. You should see it. Stop watching the podcast and go see it.
Yeah.
Alcazar, goddammit. We need viewers.
10 viewing now. 5 viewing now. 1 viewing now.
0. Oh well, I guess it's time to play Doom. Oh, I don't have it. Molly meme has it, and I was going to make a joke, because he's self-translating.
Doom is a great game.
He's defluing.
Defluing.
I mean, he doesn't have
at least it wouldn't be that much of a challenge for him to self-isolate.
See, I didn't think he'd be a gamer. He doesn't look like.
Oh no, he was. Yeah. He used to be really big into Unreal Tournament and stuff.
Oh right, see, that's why he's playing Doom Eternal. He's one of those types.
You just had a super chat. Molyneux is a budget Far Cry villain.
Nice one, British Knight. Do you know?
Thanks,
Hopefully that's true.
Do you know the definition of madness?
Do you know what Molyneux's favorite band is?
Go on.
What?
Yeah, a lot of people think that it's Rush or Queen because he always talks about this band, but it's not true. His favorite band is actually the Foo Fighters.
Foo Fighters.
I don't get that, but okay.
The Foo Fighters defooing.
Yeah, Foo Fighters.
What the fuck is defooing?
So like,
I just explained it.
We've been talking about it for like 10 minutes.
Alcazar,
you explain it. I'm kind of retarded.
Yeah, he is.
So disassociate from your family of origin.
Oh, it was that thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So like,
Foo.
You know what's weird? Until I saw Danny Duchamp talking about the Chicago school and how he's in that school, which I was shocked. I thought he was Austrian for years. Right?
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah.
And when he made that video, I was like, "Oh, Chicago gang, what's represent?"
It's like, I love those 6C graphs. I was like, "Yeah, you would like those graphs, wouldn't you?" But anyway, I'm joking. I love you, really, Danny. But
look at this graph.
Look at this net that I just found.
It was drawn by Milton Friedman. But yeah, I didn't know that ANCAPs were actually in the Chicago
I have
school.
several questions.
I didn't actually think that the Chicago school was something that ANCAPs would go for. I would have thought it would be more of a minarchist thing, conservative thing.
It's actually pretty interesting to see that there's quite a few Chicago school ANCAPs, like David D. Friedman.
Well, he would be, wouldn't he, because of his dad? It makes sense, but
not just because of his dad.
But I thought he was Austrian school, or at least both. But it turns out.
I mean, if I was going to believe all the things that my dad believes, that would pretty much be a mix between a Keynesian and a Marxist.
You know what I mean? Like, there's influence there.
Your dad's a Marxist?
Oof.
He's not, but he might as well should be, with his views on like employment and owning the means of production.
Is your dad like a Sanders supporter, or was, I guess?
Boy, Sanders.
No, he hated Sanders. He just has a lot of cognitive dissonance.
His boomerism.
Stop it. Get some help.
His boomerism is in conflict with his ideals.
He seems to be suffering from boomeritis.
I actually completely agree with that soundboards clip.
So what got you into Ancapistan? What gave you your passport? Oh wait, there wouldn't be one, would there? Oh.
Well,
what gave you your voluntarist equivalent of a passport?
Is it the anarchy ball with a thumbs up?
Well, no, I used to be a progressive. I actually worked on Peter Camejo's campaign for governor twice in California. I was kind of introduced into politics via Jello Biafra. And I was from Southern California.
Jello.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So because I kind of came from the whole punk rock and thing.
What even is he?
He's a green. He's like a socialist. He's a watermelon. Green on the outside, red on the inside.
I thought so because he did holiday in Cambodia, and I thought, well, he can't possibly like communism.
But I was young and stupid, so and it wasn't but there was always something kind of wrong with it. Like, it was advocated for like a maximum wage and affirmative action, and I was like, this doesn't sit well with me. So I was kind of like looking for more, and I started becoming more economically kind of right, and I started kind of falling in line with like moderate Democrats, but just something was wrong. I just didn't know what it was, and then I ended up watching a little show called Penn and Teller's Bulls Hit. Can I cuss on the show? I guess bullshit. Yes, okay, so Penn and Teller's Bullshit, and they had some episodes that I agreed with, and I was like, oh, I like the show. And then every other show would be something that I would disagree with, but they argued it so well that I couldn't disagree with it. I was like, what are these guys? Like, how come like I agree with them on like half of these things, but I disagree with them on the other half? Usually, like, they're either conservative and I disagree with them on everything, or they're Democrats and I agree with them on everything. What's going on here? And I was like, oh, they're libertarians. Well, what is libertarianism? And I got really interested in that. Classical liberal.
Classical liberal.
Yeah, and I used to make fun of ANCAPs, going like, haha, anarchy is stupid. And then someone was like, hey, you're a libertarian, you should check out the Libertarian Manifesto, by Rothbard. And I wasn't very familiar with Rothbard, and I was kind of like, oh, well, this must be like a manifesto for like small government, right? So I listened to the audiobook on a train, and I got on the train as a minarchist and got off the train an anarchist, and I felt like I was tricked because he just kept talking about things that I agreed with. It's like, okay, I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree with that. Wait, hold on. What, roads, courts, police, huh? And then, by the time I got off, I was like, I just had no good arguments against it, and I was like,
yep. And then you got on your McRoad and had
and you bombed somebody you didn't like with your McNuke.
Exactly. Throw people off my McHelicopter.
And then you had a Big Mac. I don't know. Are you into Big Macs? I'm more into.
And then bought some McChild slaves.
I'm big into the Big Mac Index. Is that?
Actually, the Big Mac Index is a real thing.
Yeah. I know.
Is that a Chicago school thing?
No, it's a proper it's orthodox economics, actually.
Wow.
It's it basically just shows how much a Big Mac costs relative to the cost in the US in other countries.
It's
and it's actually a way for showing how affluent a country is.
Shall I get the exact price of what it is in Manchester? Because it'll be different in London, by the way.
Sure.
Big Mac.
The Big Mac Index is actually better than GDP for measuring economic prosperity.
Oh well, because of COVID, we can get it for 99p, but usually it's about £3 something
Yeah.
on its
I don't
own.
know why it's.
Shit, I should go get myself a Big Mac.
Let's
But we get
order from
deals. Like
Uber Eats.
if you get like a bus ticket I don't know if you get this in America, but if you get a bus ticket on the back, there's a thing you can hand in to McDonald's staff, and you can get like discounts, or even just you can get your burger with that.
Say McDonald's.
You can get Big Macs.
Let's see how much a Big
hamburgers. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Let's see how much a Big Mac.
I
Oh,
don't
they have
like Big
double
Macs
Big Macs.
anymore.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
I actually do like.
Finally.
Big
burger
Macs
that will
four
fill me.
$4.39 for a Big Mac here.
Yeah, it's probably about the same. It's regional equivalent. It would be £3 something.
Yeah, it's about the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they have double Big Macs now.
Thing is,
Ooh,
I
should go in depth
I
one.
lost. I ran out. I fell out of love with the Big Mac. It's got too much lettuce. I don't know.
I
Order
like
with
lettuce.
less lettuce.
It needs less
No
lettuce,
lettuce.
and more meat and stuff inside it. That's what it needs. But less lettuce, obviously.
I mean, for me, whenever I go to McDonald's, I normally just get a double quarter pounder and a 5-piece chicken nuggets.
Jeez, and I thought I was
I eat
fat.
a lot.
It's like I was watching your left libertarianism video, which is your most recent one, isn't it? And I thought that the heart's in the right
My
place.
most recent proper video, I think.
Yeah. The heart's in the right place, isn't it? Right. But like,
Yeah.
things are not right about.
But your
like,
brain's gotta wake up. But
see, they'd notice
great philosopher
things. They
Kevin
didn't.
Smith
See, they
or
didn't.
Selma Hayek.
Well, it's kind of like, well, it's more like, it's more thingy. Red Letter Media. They didn't notice something, but the brain did.
Yeah, you may not have noticed it, but your brain did.
Like, what even are they? Are they just libertarians but left wing, or is there an actual word for them?
Or are you talking about left libertarians or red
Yeah.
letter media?
I mean, well, they're
Left libertarians, yes, there is a word for
mean,
it.
red
It's
letter
called
media,
cognitive
it-
dissonance.
I mean, Red Letter Media depends on the person, doesn't it? Like, Mike is obviously nihilism. Rich
Yeah.
is definitely Ancapistan.
Third Reich Mike, you mean?
Man, I still don't know what you're talking about here.
eugenics from the mainstream. What's Jay? Is he? I don't know.
I really don't know what
Centrism?
their political ideology is, but it seems like they hate Trump, but they also hate Clinton too. So that's the only thing I've kind of gotten out of them.
Well,
They also-
they're
and they
way
also
too
Basically,
middle.
just hate. That's all they do.
yeah, they just hate everything.
Well, Mike
they hate
is
everything
consumed
that's
with
terrible.
depression, and you can see it every time he's.
Alt-centrism.
And he's losing his mind. He's going senile.
Who are you talking about?
Red Letter Media.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know much about him.
They're very funny. Remember, a lot of this is law.
It's the best channel on YouTube. No offense, Mitch, but
Oh no,
it's a high bar. You're
I
getting up
agree.
there, though.
I agree. Oh, I know.
Like, I keep hearing their name, but I know absolutely nothing
You'll have
about
seen
them.
all their memes. Every meme you'll have seen.
Yeah.
It's weird. How
Wait, you've never
small
heard
they
of Red Letter Media?
Yeah.
My God!
Thing is, right? This is the thing. They exemplify influence over popularity. Like, they have so much influence, but it doesn't seem to like represent itself in numbers of popularity. But they don't need it.
Yeah, and they don't care either. They don't care about what their audience says. They don't listen to them. They're kind of doing their own thing. They're kind of isolated.
Well, you would be in Milwaukee, wouldn't you?
Yeah, they don't pay attention to social media or
Oh
comments.
my
They just
god,
don't care.
Milwaukee?
Yeah, that's why they
Yeah.
do.
Damn.
And they
Press
moved
F
from-
for them.
They moved from Phoenix or wherever. Yeah. See, I found
So,
that from
in
you. I
terms
didn't
of-
know they were from Arizona. I was like,
Yeah.
what? What?
Yeah, I found that out through their Wikipedia page. And some of their earlier videos, you can tell them like they're going outside and they're in the middle of the desert, and you're like, "Wait a minute, where in Milwaukee is there a desert?" Like this doesn't make sense.
What, did they just say they were in Milwaukee for like shits and giggles or something?
No, they are. They're very tuned to like Milwaukee culture and stuff. So and like they'll be watching movies and they'll be like, "Oh my god, that's the whatever Turnway. That they're in Milwaukee. What the hell?"
See,
So
what,
Okay.
see, what I was thinking was so you get ANCAPs in libertarianism. You got an umbrella, right? Well, right wing one anyway. So you get ANCAPs, minarchists. Who else would you get?
Contractionists.
The what?
Contractionists,
Oh,
which are basically
contractionists.
minarchists, but I think a little bit less extreme.
Then you would get maybe classical liberals would be under there because
Yeah.
liberalism into
Yeah.
They'd be under there.
libertarianism. Then you'd get.
I kind of put classical liberals under the umbrella of libertarianism.
I would at this point as well, just because it's easy and there's too much of a link. Agorists,
Well, and also libertarianism stemmed out of classical liberalism.
then you'd have what? Then you'd have agorists, wouldn't you? Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever the hell they are.
Then
They're kind of more on the left side of the libertarian spectrum.
so would I put
They're
them?
kind of like with left libertarian. Like Konkin was a left libertarian.
Right.
But his friend, Daniel Schulman, who just passed away recently, who was absolutely insane, but in a good way, but in like an endearing way.
They kind of like this show.
He was very kind of like culturally right. Like he would make screeds on his Twitter and stuff how much he loves Trump and how much trans women aren't real women and all this other stuff. And it's just like.
Shit.
Rest in peace,
SJWs are
warrior.
terrible. Yeah.
Rest in peace, soldier, as they would say.
Oh no, he was crazy for very different reasons. Which, if you go and watch like some of my stuff about the Alongside Night, especially after I was done with the review and I did a live stream about it, like all the crazy interactions that I had with them, that was fun. I know Michael Malice did a stream about how he and one of his friends, who is a mutual friend of ours, was trolling Daniel Schulman at Pork Fest, which is hilarious. Which I'll probably have to dig out somewhere. So I think it's unlisted now.
You know what they say?
Yeah.
What they say in Moss Side in Manchester? That guy's not a waste man. He's a soldier. but like okay.
But anyways,
so
yeah.
What about in the left libertarian side? What would be under their umbrella? So you get agorists. You
get agorists. You get mutualists.
Mutualists. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, and just general like, basically, you would have people like Matt Zulinski and Stephen Horowitz, who were both like they would be like ANCAPs if you were just to look at their economic stuff, but then like you would look at like some of their stuff and there'd be like the very SJWE kind of stuff, and they would kind of like have different differences about the non-aggression principle as well. And then you have people like Roderick Long, who was kind of like that, but then he also thinks that there's a problem with rent, the whole concept of rent. So I don't know. There's kind of like a left libertarianism is kind of like an umbrella term in and of itself too. So
I just love the mutualist meme where they're just pirates. Yarr! You violated me in AP.
You're be violating the NAP.
Yarr, SpongeBob, you be violating me.
But you don't just
Boy, me Bob, you violated the NAP.
Now die.
I don't be calling her a boxing wench. That be sexist.
The funniest thing about one of the funniest things about the memes you posted is they have to ask to fight.
The what?
Do you remember one of the memes you posted? It was like, "You violated my AP. Now please sign this contract so we can fight," or whatever it was. I just like that. Like, there has to be a contract so we can definitely fight. Which defeats the point of fighting.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's parts of me that like Stephen Horowitz at times. There's parts of me that likes Matt Zielinski at times. But then they start posting insane, just outright nuttery that they end up having to apologize for on their Facebook page.
So
later.
What about Zizek?
I'm just like,
is he a left libertarian or is he just
no.
Yeah.
He's just a Marxist. But what's interesting about Zizek, I think he's interesting in the respect that like he was pro-Trump. And he is like the first to tell you that like, oh yeah, all of the socialist and communist countries that ever existed were just giant shit shows.
My favorite clip of him is like from an old documentary where he's like on this river. He goes, "This river is the boundary between the Balkans and Middle Europe. On this side of the river."
You guys have a little bit of junky lips.
You gotta sound like you have retainers in your mouth.
This side of the river.
Junky lips.
What was it?
Capitalism, socialism, Marxism.
Who is this cultural Marxist you keep talking about, Peter? Who is these cultural Marxists?
Thing is, he knows who they are.
Modernist.
It's a stupid question.
You post-modernism.
But anyway, I'm gonna have to paraphrase it because
that's how he wards off predators.
Vampire confirmed.
But I can't remember what the rest of the words were. But somewhere along the lines of, on this side of the Balkans, it's Oriental despotism. Women get raped, and they. No wait, I've got it mixed up. So he says on this side of the river, it's human rights, blah 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 blah. Women get raped and don't like it. On this side of the river, it's Oriental despotism, blah 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 blah. Women get raped but like it. Thank you. And I thought, wow, that's edgy for the 90s.
Yeah.
Based and Z-pilled.
I'm surprised it's not been taken down.
I
on
have
YouTube.
several questions.
I'm gonna post it in the Discord. It's a very good.
11 watching now. 5 watching now. 2 watching now.
Wouldn't even blame him at this point.
Yeah, geographical
Who
limit
wants to
between
listen?
the Balkans and Central Europe. Yeah.
Who even wants to listen to me speak? Why do you listen to this podcast? We're awful.
Hey,
Good
I'm not.
question.
I was not. That was not my opinion. That was Zizek's opinion. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, actually. God, that's how long it is, mate. Jim. Oh,
jeez.
oh. 3
Old
years.
people.
3 years to go. Then I'll be 30 along with you. Oh wait, no, you'll be
Yeah,
40.
he's also a really good shit poster. Like, he has like a YouTube channel where he just shit posts all the time.
Does he? I might switch it.
Yeah. He did like a video where he was just outside like hosing off like flowers in his bed, and they were like all like getting knocked over and stuff by the hose. What the fuck am I watching?
Post-ironic humour before it was post-ironic. Oh, Roy loves it in the chat. He likes it. He enjoys this. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
God.
By the way, I think Roy wants to go and be on the podcast.
Is that who messaged me?
Yeah, I think it's Shane.
Ah, now I know. He didn't say he was Roy. If he said he was Roy, I would have known.
Yeah.
But okay. Well, I did say next week. I guess that's a spoiler. Oof.
Oh no.
But anyway,
Have you been looking at Tyler Hummel stuff?
Who?
not yet. I've been a bit distracted.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
It's alright, but anyway, what else was I going to ask you? Why the Chicago school?
So the problem that I had with like the Austrian stuff, and it was kind of bugging me for a while, was the whole. So the idea of praxeology is that you can't really trust empirical data, because you can use it, especially in economics. You can't use empirical data to prove a lot of things, because you can find empirical data to prove any point that you want. And that's the problem with a lot of other schools of economics, like the Keynesian, the neo-Keynesian stuff, is that you can make any case you want if you look at the data. Whereas the Austrian school had a pretty good argument for was, no, you have to use a priori reasoning. You have to use things that are true, like axiomatically, that you come from just logical deduction. Those are true. Before we even look at the facts, we just know that these are true. And I was like, okay, that's fine, but aren't there like going to be examples, especially in something so complex like the economy, can not factor in certain things or not certain things? Don't you need to like check things against the real world? Would that be and the Austrian answer is, well, yeah, we do economic history, but that's not economics. And it's kind of a cop-out. It really is kind of a cop-out. Whereas Chicago School says, yeah, you have to start with good theory. You can't from just looking at data, because you can come to any conclusion you want. So you work out something that seems logically consistent, that works out, the logic works right. And then you go, okay, now we have a conclusion based on that against the real world. Find some historical examples where you prove or disprove our case. And, there's lots of examples where we can think things through logically, and then we look in the real world and we go like, oh, we never considered that whole aspect of it. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like in the case of like behavioral economics is a good example. Like the Austrians would say, like if, the market for ice cream, right, was, $1 an ice cream cone, and someone came in and offered 90 cents for an ice cream cone, they're probably going to get more business because they're going to be undercutting the competition, and that would be even more true if we had, if someone was selling it for 10 cents. But when we do like real world tests on that, we'll look at the 10-cent ice cream and go, I think something wrong with that ice cream if they're selling it for 10 cents.
Yeah, that's what
There's
I was
got to be
thinking.
something wrong with it. Yeah. And that's kind of a good example of where like that whole kind of thing kind of breaks down. And it's always good to go, okay, that seems logical. Let's test it against the real world. Okay, there's this other factor that we need to consider that we didn't consider beforehand. So kind of were the reason why I kind of side more with the Chicago school. But there are Austrians who do look at that, like the Hayekians are a good example of where they kind of stray from that kind of
Hayek.
thing.
He's one of my boys.
Yeah. Yeah, so there are
hang
Austrians
out with
somewhat
him?
look into that too.
Hmm?
I think the Misesians somewhat look into that, but it depends on the Misesian.
Yeah. Well, no, the Austrian, like the Misesians would say no, that disregard that, or just we have a logic right that maybe we should look
They're
at more.
missing their logistics.
Yeah, they need more a priori logistics.
For those of you who don't know, this is
that is inside baseball.
This is a deep law in regards to esoteric entity.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm like, yeah. So there are Austrians that are good, and there's actually if you're really interested in like what the differences are, if you look up David Friedman versus Bob Murphy,
yeah, I've seen that advertised on YouTube.
Yeah, but at the very beginning, David Friedman was like, I don't know if this is going to be a debate because there are Austrians who would agree with me, and I would agree with them, but we'll see what this gets into, and then Bob Murphy starts doing the Misesian thing, and he's like, "Yeah, this is going to be a debate." So okay, that's why I think you're wrong. So yeah, there are Austrians that have very similar views to the Chicago, but I think I kind of like more of the Chicago analysis or a lot of the Austrian versions of those. So
yeah,
where are you on the German question?
Oh, this is my time to shine.
I really care. Like, at the end of the day. Okay, let's say that the Grabbler, is that what we're talking about? The Grabblers?
I don't know what Grabbler is, but
oh, I have something to show you afterwards.
Oh no! Oh no! But anyway, basically on this podcast we have the opinion Germania delenda rest.
Well,
if you know what that means.
Two people are of that opinion. I'm of the opinion that whichever way, allows us to go and rip off the Germans economically, I'm okay with.
Oh, that German question. Well, I thought it was the questions we're asking about like 80 years ago.
Not that one.
Not that one.
I know people who have very strong opinions about that one, which I'm just kind of like, I don't care. Like a lot of the influences that I get my stuff from come from those types of grapplers, I guess. So I'm a big fan of those grapplers.
I was wondering what you meant by a grappler. Now I think I know what you mean.
Okay, good.
No, what do you think about Germany, like geopolitically and stuff like that? Because we think, me and Alcazar are like, yeah, divide it.
So I think Angela Merkel is awful and terrible. But I think that a lot of people overstate how terrible and awful she is, because there's some times where she says things that are pretty red-pilled, where I'm like, wait, you don't want immigrants in your country because they're going to destroy their country? Oh, wow. Based and red-pilled?
Well, she has to say that, doesn't she? But
let's see. I don't know. I don't really know what's going on in Europe.
Well, basically,
I'm an American.
She has to flip-flop.
We only care about American things.
Well, the problem with her party
we care about the only country that matters. America.
Yes.
Well, in Germany, she's been in power for will be 20 years nearly. Well, it won't be 20 years, like 18, 19, something like that. And no.
Something ridiculous.
Yeah, 17 years. And she's a bit of a... She's not a centrist. She's meant to be kind of centre-right, the Catholic Party, but she plays the centre very well. Because there used to be a Catholic centre party back in the day which would decide really who's becoming the leaders or not. So like, will they side with the Social Democrats? Will they side with the Conservatives or the Liberals? It was all down to them. But now they're in charge, and so she, in order to get votes, she'll whatever are annoying the German people, she'll just be like, yeah, we'll fix that, but she won't. So like, beforehand it was open borders, now it's closed, not closed borders, but now we've got to shore it up a bit. Because, AfD, Alternative for Deutschland, are knocking on the door of the parliament, so she has to curry favour. That's basically what I meant. So she'll flip-flop, basically. She's a flip-flop.
Can't say curry flavor in Germany, you'd be arrested for being racist against Indians.
But if I
as British Knight says, can't be racist if it's scientific.
Well, Germany did make Scientology illegal, so I mean they can't be that bad.
But
I mean, because it is a pyramid scheme. It is a scam. I mean,
Honestly, I do think actually Germany would be better if it was divided into its constituent parts of Saxony, whatever, because then they can all decide what they want for themselves, like Switzerland or something, you know.
Yeah.
But
They already can do that because Germany is federal.
well, you
It's
know,
not unitary.
true, but it's
do
not.
you remember what happened last time we let the Germans choose what they wanted?
Yeah, they've now got an empire again.
They were baking cookies.
Yeah, that's why they should be divided. So
If you- Yeah, we don't want them baking cookies.
Yeah.
we don't want them emitting any
Your
more
cookies
carbon
tasted
emissions.
like shit, anyways.
We don't want them emitting more carbon emissions, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Carbon.
Yeah. Of course. That's, who would?
Is that because a lot of them have diamonds? Is that the joke that I'm missing out here?
No, it's stupid.
No. No, Jim.
And you're setting them on fire. Is that what's going on?
Jim. That's not it at all.
Oh.
You are
my
you are
God.
dropping the ball hard.
So Jim, like I've heard that the Libertarian Party is just in an absolute state right now.
Because it is.
It's I guess it's better than last year, but I could be wrong. They haven't had their convention, and they're probably not going to have
I
their
know that
convention.
Danny, he really hates.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm happy that Nick Sarwart is no longer in charge.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits, and it kind of seems like a lot of the Gary Johnson types have given up on it. Wayne Allen Root left. Good riddance.
Vermin is still there,
Bye,
though.
Felicia. Yeah, Vermin Supreme. Which on one hand, I like Vermin because he kind of points out the absurdity of the whole election process. But at the end of the day, he's a Democrat, and he definitely does. Even though now he's a libertarian, quote unquote, he definitely kind of likes to parrot off like ANCOM talking points and mutualist talking points.
Danny was calling him a commie. Danny Duchamp.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, he kind of is.
Yeah, he kind of is.
He just offers Gibbs in all these things. I'll give you a unicorn. I'm like,
I don't want a fucking unicorn. I want
No,
a
he wants
stable
a pony.
future.
I have
Not a unicorn, a pony.
I don't need a unicorn.
But he does believe in zombie power. Like he wants to harness the power of zombies.
I think that's actually a very important issue that not a lot of people are really taking seriously.
Zombie
I know.
power.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need strong.
Is that a euphemism?
No, so what you do is you can have relatively cheap energy by constructing giant hamster wheels, putting zombies in, and dangling a brain in front of them.
Basically,
spin the
one giant
generators.
dynamo.
So do
Yeah.
you think there'll ever be another third party elected? Because the last one was progressive,
President?
wasn't it? Yeah.
Nope. The progressives were never elected.
Were they not?
They were not.
Oh, Teddy was a Republican. Oh.
Yeah, I think in order for that to happen, for this country to get rid of the two-party system, there has to be some dire problems with one of the parties, which Democrats look like they're going to have a big problem coming up, especially since all of their candidates who actually have real support keep getting nudged out by the administration through like super
There's
PACs.
also
What are
the
they called?
fact that the
Superdelegates?
Republican Party isn't even doing that well. Like they're going to have some serious problems in 2024.
Yeah, who did they replace him with?
I think they're in probably better shape right now than they were in 2016, because a lot of people were burning their Republican cards because of Trump, because there was a lot of never Trumpers, but a lot of those people have come around on Trump. For good or bad reasons, I guess. So
For better or worse.
Yeah, for better or worse. I mean, because all things considered, Trump has been good on some things, terrible on others. Like he's been really good about reducing the Federal Register of regulations and stuff, which is a good thing. But on the other hand, he wants to do things like ban bump stocks and give everyone a bag. So
get your bag bigger. What are you doing?
Yeah. He wants everyone to have a bag, and now they're talking about expanding the bag and making more bags.
More swag.
Too many bags.
More swag for your I can't think. More bang for your buck. More sand for your swag. I don't know.
Mitch is not hip with the kids, guys.
Hey, just
How do you
because-
do, fellow kids?
How do you do, fellow UBI?
Yeah, dude, I'm the only
2020.
hip and swag one here. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, I don't know.
As a
Big
young-
apps, but okay.
then you have people like Ben Shapiro kind of come around on Trump, and I think that's.
Is Ben Shapiro said he's voting for Trump?
I don't know if he's voting.
I think he is. I think he is. He's been defending Trump a lot lately, so I'm guessing that he's turned around on Trump. And I've heard him say that like Trump, the President Trump is a lot better than candidate Trump. So.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Epic.
Because
Next
President
week.
Trump, at least, he can be taken moderately seriously in quite a few things. And also with this epidemic, he's actually been acting very presidential.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell that means.
So I
don't know what presidential.
I do like how he likes to troll. Like there was he had like the lady who represents I think the CDC or something like that on and talking about hi, not right now.
No, don't call me.
Yeah, I have to have my ringer
the
on.
feds
for
found me.
But he had like one of the press briefings, and because the press briefing hall is like social distancing, like only every other seat can be filled. He was saying like, these terrible people that are in the room right now, how long would these people have to be doing social distancing? Because, they say they hate me, but they're all outside clamoring to get in here and fighting over and bragging about getting in here. So how long do these terrible, awful people who hate me but really love me have to be in here like this? And then like he turns over and he like smirks at the guy, and the guy smirks back like, "Nice troll, dude."
GG.
It's like there's times like that where I'm just like, we don't deserve you.
Well played, Mr. President. Well
played, Mr. President. I'll take the L on this one.
My favorite one was he's been roasting them all month. It's been brilliant. Yeah. All they can do is repeat stuff at him. Like they are literally NPCs, and like I used to think like, it's just more like the way they think, like, they just think the same. But no, they actually.
No, it's just everything about them.
Like like an NPC will repeat the same thing over and over again because they're programmed to. They do, and it's really creepy.
By the mines, take the high road. It's safer.
And then to find out that the NPC
Stop,
meme.
thief! You are violated the law.
Stop right there. Hit or miss.
Why won't you die?
Why won't I?
Yarr!
Stop right there, criminal scum.
Hit or miss.
Pay the court a fine or pay your penalty. Your stolen goods are now forfeit.
Oblivion memes are better than Skyrim memes.
What you get on the Spergonomics podcast. Stay tuned.
Sponsored by Elder Scrolls memes.
Sponsored by Stuma.
Sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends.
Hey, I will never ever be sponsored by that scam of a game. No. Sorry, I know it's a scam and I refuse. I couldn't put sponsorships in my videos because they would require 30 to 2 minute long clips, and it would just ruin the video. I want to get a nice flow, and I don't want to go, hey, this video is about this. Here's my summary of my introduction, but first, it's your boy. And I'm just like, no.
Okay, here's the thing. If I did that, I would just go full on Seth Zine and just not even take it seriously and just keep on saying how much I'm showing for these people.
If I was to be sponsored, all I want to do is sponsored by something. Links down below.
Sponsored by black people.
Yeah, I can imagine his next episode. He's like, there's lots of misinformation flying about this virus. There's currently no known cure. Beyond, we're just waiting for all of us to go through the system. In terms of prevention, you can prevent it by hydrating or being in the sun. There's always good ways to prevent the disease that are limiting contact with individuals you suspect are having it difficult, because a lot of them are asymptomatic for up to 2 weeks. Disinfecting surfaces, regularly washing your hands, or playing Raid Shadow Legend, incredibly popular immersive MMORPG, spreading like a pandemic through the gaming community.
I do like how Emp Lemon does it. I like how have you heard of Emp Lemon, Jim? You probably watch him. Downward Spiral.
Oh my god.
Emp Lemon.
Yeah.
Downward Spiral.
Oh, no, Internet
Spiral. Downward
Historian
Spiral.
also has a funny way of doing sponsorships, which I appreciate.
It's not necessarily funny. It's just that he makes literal adverts, and I think that's tasteful.
I like how Internet Historian does his.
Yeah.
It's all part of the joke.
Good.
Yeah. So if you can do something interesting with it, then that's great. But a lot of times, like when I watch as much as I like Cinemassacre, like when they do stuff like that, they're like, no, word from our sponsor. It's so cringy and terrible and so forced.
But first, a word from our cocks.
Now, for those of you who may be unaware, Jim,
How did you know about my internet service provider?
It really makes you think. But for those of you who don't know, Jim is also a podcast host. He's a fellow podcaster. The Lolberts.
Yes. That's our word.
That's our word.
Hey, that's our
your
word.
It's your word.
Yeah.
Is it my word?
So, yeah. So when I was doing the Freedom Fiends, the nationally syndicated talk radio show.
Jesus Christ! You have to rub it in our face, do you?
Yeah. I'm kind of professional here, not to brag, but I'm kind of a
Not
big
to
deal.
brag, but I am a huge ego and am
Okay,
better than
stop.
you.
It's like Ethan Van Sciver says, whatever he says, blah 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 blah, but humble.
He says like how awesome he is, and he goes,
Yeah.
but also humble.
Humble brag.
Who else used to do that? Zach Brannigan,
Zach
master of time, space, universe, and winner of this year's Modesty Award.
Actually, there was one time when I had to go and make the announcements in my high school, so I announced myself by just saying, "Hi, this is Joe, Vice President of the Joe Fan Club."
But strangely humble in a Japanese way.
What does that even mean?
Exactly.
I don't know.
People ask me what I even meant by that.
Just say you're humble in the Japanese tradition.
No, I would just keep on giving every single person a different reason.
So anyway, Jim, explain the law.
So you mean like Chumbawamba? Like every time someone asks who like Chumbawamba, like what their band name means, they're like, oh, it's always a different answer.
Yeah, exactly.
They were actually in a gig that my favorite band in the whole wide world were at. They're like in a festival. It's called Reading Festival. You've heard of Reading Festival, right, Jim?
No.
Oh, it's
I think I may have actually.
It's now called Reading and Leeds, but they used to be separate. And in this particular one in 1993, there was Radiohead, Blur, Chumbawamba, Dinosaur Jr. were below New Order. This is the band that I like. On the third day, who else was there? Oh, Susie and the Banshees were the second day headliners, and the band called Porno for something. You have completely disappeared.
Porno for Pyros.
Yeah, Porno for Pyros. Yeah.
I know them. I'm old too.
But I'd never heard of them until then, and I thought, wait, they were headlining Reading in '93.
Yeah, so like Chumbawamba, like I ended up watching. I don't know if you are
Chumbawamba
familiar
were
with.
way down. Like Radiohead weren't even that big at the time as well. Crazily enough.
Have you heard of Todd in the Shadows? There's like a YouTube channel where he talks about music. Yeah. And he did one on Chumbawamba, and they had like a huge history. They used to be like an anarcho-punk band, and they used to do they've just been around for like forever. They don't, even though they only had one hit, they are very well known.
Again. You never gonna bring me down.
And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I thought they were a pop band.
Yeah, no, it turns out they used to be an anarcho, but then they just started changing their style over time. So,
So anyway, Lolberts.
Yeah, so the Lolberts. So yeah, like we wanted to do more because there was so many co-hosts and so many spots that we wanted to, and then also it was also on at like 11 o'clock Pacific time, which Eastern would be like 3 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes it would go on for like 3 o'clock in the morning, and so people were like, we want to do stuff during the day, and I was like, well, I'll start a podcast, and I always wanted to start a podcast, and so we were thinking of names, and I remember there was this guy that I still talk to. He used to call libertarians Lolberts, and he was like the only person who ever called libertarians Lolberts, like ever. And I was like, what does that even mean? He's like, it's just the way I just type Lolbertarian, and I was like, oh, okay. And so I started using the term, and everybody kept asking me like, what the fuck is Lolberts? Like that's not even a thing. I'm like, shit, whatever, Lolbert. So when I thought of my podcast, like, let's call about. Yeah, because I had a feeling that was probably going to catch on. So I was like, let's call my podcast Lolberts and say that that's our word so we can claim it before it take off. It didn't work.
No.
Everybody started using it anyway. It's like, that's my word. And so like when I started my podcast, everybody was like, what is Lolbert? So I ended up having to make a page on the website for the podcast, like what a Lolbert was. No one cared. People just started using it anyway and redefining it. So I guess that's how language works. So, but I guess I popularized the term. I didn't coin the term, but I popularized it. So yeah, it's kind of just more like a couple of libertarians hanging out, talking, shooting the shit, that sort of thing. And where a lot of us are kind of like very skeptical of other libertarians, and so we're very willing to eat our own. Yeah, a lot of drama.
They're my favorite
ones.
ones.
Yeah, or just civil disagreements with them. Like we don't agree with a lot of us are very not big fans of the NAP. Some of us are.
You're not
so we talk about why we disagree with it, or sometimes we'll have like a debate with the people that do.
McNukes,
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of this theme of the show.
Did you have a proper co-host at one point, or has it always been you and the revolving door?
Well, the first one that we did shows regularly with was Seamus Coughlin from Freedom Tunes.
Oh yeah,
he was first. Like he was actually on the first 2 episodes.
Oh, Seamus. Oh, that's I like him.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Now he's too busy and too popular to hang out with us now.
Yeah, I know people like that.
Oh yeah.
No, I end up he ends up contacting me every once in a while and asking me a question or something. So,
hey Jim, can you voice this character? Have you ever been on Freedom Tunes?
Have I ever been on Freedom Tunes? No. I'm pretty sure I could do voices for him, but every voice that I can do, he does it just as good or serviceable.
Well, if you want somebody to do whatever. North FC, I'm your man.
North FC.
8 Southerners, 8 Midlands, 8 the Scots, 8 the Welsh. Love the North. Simple as. There you go.
Love me, missus.
Love North. Simple as.
Love me, missus. Even though I don't have one.
Love me, pub. Simple as.
Love me, pub.
Simp for me, missus. Simple as.
And I don't even need to change my accent. Haha. There you go.
So yeah, so some of the other co-hosts that we've had, was James Weeks, the guy that danced naked on the Libertarian stage. He was a co-host for a while. What? He still is, but he's just been too busy with the LP to hop on. Which
he's the guy with the farm.
Too. I haven't reached out to him either.
He's the one with the farm, isn't he?
The what? I'm sorry?
The farm. You know, he's a farmer.
I don't think he's a farmer. No.
Oh no, is he not the one with the alpacas or whatever it is?
No. So there's a farmer that we do have, and that's a different guy.
Oh,
that's Nick Hazelton, and he for some reason he gets popular for some reason, and then once he gets popular, he's like, I'm gonna pod fade for a while. And it's like, what are you doing? You were just on Thaddeus Russell's show. You were just on School Sucks, and then he just goes, yeah, I'm gonna pod fade. It's like, but no, make content now that you're famous. Like, what are you doing? Yeah, that's a different guy. So yeah, James Weeks was the one that danced naked at the Libertarian convention with his man thong.
What?
Yeah, you don't remember this guy?
No, I don't.
Yeah, if you look up James Weeks, there's videos of him dancing at the Libertarian convention as his thong. It's freaking hilarious. But to be fair, that was the most libertarian thing that happened at that convention. So.
That was the only libertarian thing that happened at that convention.
Right. And it's not because it was very libertarian. It was just there wasn't a lot of competition.
Yeah.
We also had Steve Miller and James Babb, who were freaking hilarious. One's a stand-up comedian, kind of doing open mic stuff. Who else? We had MK Lords for a while. We had to Sauce, who was a very, I guess, popular in terms of in the early days of ANCAP YouTube. He was co-host. I'm going to pull up my list here. Ben Stone, the Bad Quaker, had made a guest appearance on there. Let me see. Let me pull up my list of co-hosts because I have so many.
Quaker's Oats, not so simple.
Yeah.
Not so simp.
Jeremy Heinleger, who I never remember how to pronounce his last name, so we just make up new ones every time he comes on. Hazmatter.
Call him Heidecker.
Flat Lever. Heidecker. Maybe I should use that one.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of guests through the days. Baron. Cool. Yeah.
What's your most controversial one that isn't Molly Mean related?
I did one with MK Lords about the NAP. That one got some pushback. We've criticized that. We just released an episode about Bitcoin. A lot of people have been kind of receptive to it. We thought that was going to be
the bubble.
Yeah, because we have always been big fans of crypto, and to an extent, I still kind of like cryptocurrency, even though I am a skeptic of it being an actual currency. I think it's kind of useful as a medium of transfer. It's it's cheaper than using something like Western Union or something.
Well, there's a version of, it's not crypto, but it's kind of like crypto in Zimbabwe. Have you heard of this?
Oh, isn't that just their dollar?
It's
it's called the US dollar.
No. The currency is I think the dollar, but they have how you can pay crypto online and stuff like that. It's the same kind of system, but they use phones. And it's really ingenious, and it just sidesteps. Well, Mugabe's dead now, but it would just.
Well, they're hyperinflating their new currency now.
I will show you
because of course they are.
I will show you.
Of course they are. Why would they change?
I'll show you a video. But anyway, we've got another super chat from your boy British Knight, and he states. By the way, I need to get back to you on something. Jim's opinion on the Asian capitalists. They seem to have gone down the NRX rabbit hole as of late. Have you heard of these guys?
No, I haven't. Well, here's the thing, but I can say some things about the NRX. Like, I think the NRX, a lot of them have a lot of interesting things to say. Like Moldbug, I think some of his work is fascinating. I'm not too hot on their prescriptions, but I do appreciate like kind of new and fresh kind of critiques on libertarianism. And they have been kind of challenging to kind of rattle around in my head and consider. And I do think that they propose some interesting critiques, but I don't know if I agree with their prescriptions on things. So yeah, I do like Moldbug.
Yeah, he's all right. He's not too bad. Yeah. I think reading him from where we are now, at least his early stuff seems to be very normal. Letter to progressives, like, well. Yeah. I mean,
well, it's more normal than Nick Land, at least.
Yeah, Moldbug's all right. He doesn't do a lot of public speaking though. He does sometimes, but you never get a feeling of what he's like as a person.
Well, I think because after he was kind of outed, everybody kind of like was trying to destroy his career after that.
Oh, do you mean who he is as a person, as opposed to?
Yeah. So once people found out that he's like in Silicon Valley and tried to destroy his career and get him fired and stuff, he's been kind of out of it. So
yeah, don't blame him.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you attack the cathedral, that's what happens.
Yeah. I've always wondered about the cathedral thing. I think it's an interesting metaphor and concept, but I'm not sure how some of them describe certain cathedrals in history as how they actually went down. Like, one of them was mentioning FDR. His cathedral was the universities and something else.
I mean, the cathedral is still the universities and the media, and so I mean, like, I don't think much has changed.
I don't know if the universities have ever had power to influence the president, but they do influence culture. But
yeah, they do influence culture.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
They somewhat do influence the president, considering how many came from Yale and were in Skull and Bones.
Yale, more like fail. But anyway, the Asian capitalists, they were like a libertarian channel, I guess, at one point. And now
at one point. Now they're really not.
Yeah, a lot of the recent videos has been nothing but talking about degeneracy, and one of their examples was Weimar Germany, and it's like, come on, that wasn't degenerate. Thinking, it
wasn't okay, but I definitely would not want to live in Weimar Germany.
No, I wouldn't want to live there, but
especially its culture.
A cabaret is not degenerate. It wasn't even degenerate by their standards.
Yeah, so I'm not from. I guess it's kind of like a Red Ice Radio type of thing, because I remember they used to be very libertarian, and then they jumped on board the whole alt-right thing for a while.
I mean, it'd be very hard for two Asian guys to jump on the alt-right thing, but
yeah, that would be a little difficult. I mean, they actually do have their. I mean, Asian people do have their own ethno-state. It's called North Korea.
Yeah, I mean,
and somewhat China, because when you move to China, you're forcibly turned into a Chinese person.
Yeah, you're Hanized. I can't think of it.
It's actually called sinicization. Yeah, sinicization.
Ow, my sinus.
It's so common that it has its own term.
God, it's getting worse though. Like, they're now picking on the African workers and immigrants who moved over there. And one of them said, I don't understand.
It's almost like communists are actually also imperialists.
Yes, they are. And one Nigerian guy who works there, he said, I don't understand why they treat me like this. We don't treat them like this in Nigeria. And there's more Chinese people in Nigeria than there are Nigerians in China. It's like, mate, you are the scapegoat. This is a moral panic in China. This is how the state controls people. You are the distraction. Unfortunately, I'm not trying to, say you deserve it. You don't. But I would say get out of there, because it's only going to get worse until the distraction serves its purpose. By then there'll be people. People are getting beat up. People are being, segregated. Until the government decide enough is enough, when they click the fingers, it's going to get worse, because people are running mad. This is what Mao did though during the Cultural Revolution, didn't he? He just set them off, and people did their own thing, and then he died.
Yeah, then he died.
And then
The next Alpine came and had to pick up all the pieces.
yeah, pretty much.
I still think that his wife should have been shot for what she did.
Yeah. I mean, Beria got shot. Now the
Yeah.
whole Soviet Union knows you posted cringe. Anyway, I think we've gone overtime, but it's been a very good chat, Jim. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah.
All right, final words. Jim, final words.
6 million cookies. No wait. Sorry, wait, wrong way. Oh, hold on. Well, wait, hold on. Wait a minute. What?
Final word. Not final solution.
Oh boy. Is it warm in here?
It's a bit like an oven in here.
Yeah, anarcho-capitalism. You can be a fan of that and not have to subscribe to stupid things like the non-aggression principle or Austrian economics or things like that.
Go for a
no
nap,
offense.
Papa. Go for a nap.
Which I do appreciate all that stuff, but at the same time, it's kind of like, come on, argumentation ethics. Is that all you got, really?
Oh, here's a question.
Is that
Do you
what we're
think
doing
you can be an uncapped society and have a monarchy? Or do you have to have a state to have a monarchy?
Well, anarcho-monarchism, I mean, basically, if you just have like a king that everybody voluntarily pays for to kind of keep like a culture kind of in line, or traditions and rights, which I'm a big fan of tradition and rights, being a Satanist and all.
Hail.
Why not? I don't think people believe in the divine right of kings anymore, so I think that's probably why it wouldn't work.
Although there is the
but
neo-absolutists, but maybe they don't believe in the divine right of king. I mean, you don't
yeah,
need
they
to
want an actual monarch. I think most of them do.
You don't need to believe in the divine right of kings to be an absolutist. Then again, but I mean, I don't remember thingy.
But I think without that, it's going to be hard for a lot of people to
like
take in. So.
why should you rule over me?
Yeah. Like, why are you ruling over me? If I think my biggest problem with the kind of neo-absolutist kind of view is that they just take power as an axiom of its own.
At least the
And
queen.
it's like no. I think you need to justify that. Everybody needs to justify their positions. I think that's kind of just hand waving away potential criticisms.
At least with constitutional monarchy, they have a reason. There's a constitutional reason, like with Japan and Britain and Netherlands and Norway and Sweden? Yeah, Sweden, that's the one. Anyway, final words for Chicago.
Final words for Chicago school?
No, for Chicago great. Himself, my co-host.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thanks,
taking
bro.
your spotlight.
Well, after reading quite a bit of Tolkien during the epidemic,
nerd,
it's a pretty good author.
Yeah, I've got all the Lord of the Rings books. But anyway,
hell yeah,
Alkazai, Mr. Misery himself. Go on, Al.
Nice final words, Al. Thanks. Very cool.
Should I end it? Because I feel bad if he doesn't get his final word in. Al. Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. Oh wow.
Oh. Anyway, my final words is GG, Al. You missed your chance. See you later, guys.